5 years ago, when Mrs. Compounding Project and I moved to the area we now live in, we had a decision to make, and that decision was, what house do we buy in terms of the value? Now, our combined income at the time was about £70,000, and we ended up buying a house for £192,000 with a mortgage of roughly £145,000. But the interesting thing is that we could have bought a more expensive house. We could have stretched ourselves more, bought in a nicer area, bought a bigger house, had a bigger mortgage, but we didn't, and that was completely down to our choice. Looking back at that decision now, 5 years on, I think buying a cheaper house was one of the best financial decisions we've ever made. When we moved here about 5 years ago, we were essentially starting again with our residential property journey. We'd relocated from a different area of the UK, and we used parents' houses as stepping stones in between properties. So when we moved here, it was kind of a reset. So we had to decide not just what house we wanted, but also what sort of financial life we wanted. Based on our income at the time, we probably could have borrowed more. We certainly offered more. We could have bought a bigger, potentially nicer house. Banks were happy to approve between 4 and 5 times of your combined income as a mortgage. So for us, that was potentially between £280,000 and £350,000 as a mortgage, which just made me feel sick at the thought of. I just could not ever bring myself to do that. There were in fact houses a mile or two away from where we live in what people would consider a nicer area, whatever that is, and they were about £50,000 to £70,000 more expensive for, in my opinion, what was essentially the same house. We did go and look at those other houses, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I wasn't just thinking about the house itself, I was also thinking about the mortgage, and more importantly, what that mortgage would mean for the rest of our lives. Another thing that was in the back of my mind was that we also had the buy-to-let property, which has a mortgage of £75,000 on it. It is interest only, but of course it still needs paying. So when I was thinking about our residential mortgage, I wasn't just thinking about it as that like one standalone thing, one mortgage on its own. I was more thinking about our combined total debt exposure across both properties. I didn't really want to be in a position where we had 2 big mortgages and were heavily exposed to like interest rate changes, job changes, or anything else unexpected. And therefore, keeping our residential mortgage as sensible as we could felt like the right thing to do overall, not just for that house, but for our whole financial position. When you buy a house, people focus a lot on the price of the house, and it does matter, but what really matters is the monthly mortgage and how much of your income it eats up each month. A bigger mortgage doesn't just mean a bigger house, it means that you've got less money to invest each month. It means you've got less money for holidays. It means you've got less money to be flexible in your life. And conversely, that means you've got more pressure to earn. You've got more reliance on your job. Potentially, you've got more stress, especially if interest rates go up as they have done. A bigger house often comes with a smaller life in terms of options, in my opinion. And I've got a really good actual life example for why this mattered to us during the pandemic. So Mrs. Compounding Project had worked in various industries and she was quite stressed. She wanted to change career to something that had less stress involved, but unfortunately that came with less income. Now we were able to do that, and she was able to do that because we weren't saddled with a massive mortgage. If we had taken on a bigger mortgage, maybe we wouldn't have been able to do that. Maybe she'd still be in that same job that she didn't want to do, and maybe that would be worse overall for our lives than just having a bigger, more expensive house. And that, I guess, is exactly what I mean when I talk about wealth giving options. So the cheaper house didn't just save us some money on paper, it gave us some real life and real world flexibility and allowed us to make life decisions that improved our lives. It was quite simple in my mind: a lower mortgage equal more options. By buying a cheaper house and keeping our mortgage relatively low, or lower than it otherwise would have been, it means that we can save and invest every month. It means that we can overpay the mortgage. Although we certainly weren't rolling around in cash, we weren't stretched financially. If one of us was to lose our job, yes, it would be a problem, but it wouldn't be an immediate disaster. We'd have some flexibility, and that's something I talk about quite a lot on this channel, in that I'm not trying to optimize my life for the biggest house or the nicest car, because I've lost both of those battles. I'm trying to optimize my life financially for options and financial flexibility. The other real life example I've got is the interest rate rises in the last couple of years. Now, it certainly stings to see it, and we are going to experience it next year when our current fixed term deal on our residential property ends, but on the buy-to-let, it hasn't actually like completely ruined us, and that's all down to the decisions that we made back when we bought this property. And that decision is evidently lots more important than any sort of smart investing decisions we've tried to make since then. Now, interestingly, the houses in the nicer area a couple of miles away that were £50,000 to £70,000 more expensive at the time have actually gone up in value more than ours has since then. So on paper, you could argue that buying the more expensive house would have been a better investment. But I just don't really think that matters unless you sell the house. If your house goes up in value, but so do all the others around you and in the market as a whole, you don't really gain anything unless you move somewhere cheaper. And in the meantime, you've had a bigger mortgage and less disposable income for all those years leading up to that point. And this links into a lot of the other things that I talk about on this channel. Driving a cheap or unfinanced car, investing every month, overpaying the mortgage, building income streams. All of these decisions are basically the same philosophy. Keep your fixed costs relatively low or as low as you can. Invest the difference, so live on less than you make, and give yourself more options in future. And to me, wealth equals options. I don't really think that wealth is having the biggest house or the newest, most expensive stuff. I personally think that wealth is having options to change jobs, options to work less, options to start a business, options to take time off, or options just to not be stressed about money or life in general. And having a smaller mortgage is one of the biggest things that helps with all those things. I think a lot of people just buy the biggest house or the most expensive house that they can afford because the bank says they can borrow that much, and it'll look great on Instagram when you're holding the keys in front of the new build house with your white Fiat 500 in front and whatever else. No offense if you've got those things. Just because you can borrow the money doesn't mean that you should. Your mortgage is probably the biggest financial commitment that you'll ever make, outside of children. I know parents will tell me that, but I think it basically determines how much of your income is already spent before you even start each month. So I'd personally rather have a much smaller house and a bigger life than a bigger house and a smaller life. And I know that this house we're living in now isn't our forever home, but this decision is certainly helping us towards our forever home. Buying a cheaper house wasn't about not being able to afford a more expensive one. Instead, it was about choosing a financial life with lower stress, more investing, and more options in future. And that, I think, really sums up what I'm trying to do with the compounding project. I'm not trying to look rich, even though I've actually ironed my shirt today. I'm trying to build a life where money gives me freedom and options over time. So thank you very much for watching. I'd be very interested to hear your own thoughts or your own experiences about this sort of thing. I'll see you in the next one.